So you've already learned how you can create digital journeys in order to gather data. But how do you visualize all of that data that's coming in, right? How do you structure it and visualize it? It's actually pretty simple, but there are a couple ways in which you can do this. So come on, and let me show you. So the FintechOS Evolutive Data Core is like looking at a database, but from a business perspective. You can create entities, which are the tables of the database, and inside the entities, you can create attributes, which are the columns of the table, and each attribute stores a number of records. However, in the Evolutive Data Core, you might store a lot of data, right, coming in from multiple digital journeys. And let's say I want to visualize data from 3 different entities and only from specific attributes of these entities. Can I do that? Well, of course I can, by creating a FintechOS Data View, and it's all done no code. So in this video, we're going to go over a few points on how you can select the data that you want to visualize and the different ways in which you can do this, and then how you can display it on a front-end portal so that other people from your company have access to it as well. So this is our form-driven flow through which we gather our data, and it is based on a main entity that has been extended with multiple other entities. So we will have to select attributes from all of these entities in order to be able to visualize the data that we want. And this is how our flow looks like for the end user. Since this is a loan origination application, we would like to visualize the following records: the application number, the start date, the loan amount, first name, last name, the city, right, the current city of the user, and the date of birth. Now, keep in mind that these attributes are not coming from one single entity, but from multiple entities. So let's see how we can select all of these attributes and place them inside a data view. So in the FintechOS Studio, we'll go on the sidebar, Evolutive Data Core and Data Model Explorer in order to visualize the list of entities, and we'll search for the entity on which our form-driven flow is based. Okay, there we go. We have information about the entity, right? We can visualize the entire data model. As you can see, a lot of attributes, but we will go to data views. Okay, and since we want to create a new one, we'll click on insert and let's give it a name. Let's say loan application focused view. Okay, we'll copy this for the display name and leave some spaces between the words. There we go. And we're going to make this a default view for this entity because we don't have another one. This is the main one. If you have multiple views and this is just one of them, you don't need to make this, but this will come in handy later on in the video when we will display it in a certain way on the portal. But I'm going to remind you of that moment. So I'm going to click on is default and show view button as well. This will show up on the actual view next to basically at the end of the row in order to be able to click on a button that says view and edit that certain record. Okay, but you'll see what I'm talking about in a bit. For now, we'll save and reload and then go over to data. And now you're going to see couple of elements here, but don't be scared. The main capability here is the fetch designer. Okay, we're going to click on this. This basically allows us to select attributes from all over our data model and basically create this view. Okay, so entity links. We're going to start off with our entity, okay, which is in our case account application. Okay, we're going to select it and then click on attribute list. And now, very important, from this list, this is the list of attributes for the current entity. Now, remember that our flow is based on multiple entities, so we only need a couple of attributes from here, right? The ones that I mentioned at the beginning from this entity, which are in our case the application number. Then we are looking for the first name, right, and the last name and the loan amount. For now, I'm going to click OK, and then we're going to click on this next drop down. Okay, this will open up a list of entities that are related to this main entity. Okay, and from here, in our case, we'll select this one, and from the attributes list, we will select the city. Okay, that's all we need from here. And as you can see, we already have attributes from 2 entities. And look how easy this is. I mean, this is amazing. You don't have to write any code. Normally, you would have to write all of this in SQL, right? You would have to select certain columns from certain tables, okay? But we are just using buttons and drop downs. So this is amazing. Then we will open up the next drop down, and basically we can see that the list of entities is smaller now because the entities from here are related to this particular entity, not the main one. Okay, if we want to open up a bigger list of entities that are related to this main one, we have to click on the next drop down, because as you can see, this is indented here. Okay, and that is in this way for a reason. So we're going to click on this particular drop down here, and as you can see, the list is bigger, and now we can select our entity. Okay, we're going to select this one, click on attribute list again, and from here we need the date of birth. There we go, as simple as that. And now we'll click on the last drop down as well to display entities from the related to the main one. Okay, and from here we'll select banking product ID, which will help us select the start date for the loan. Okay, and that's basically it. This is how we select the attributes, and we can click OK. And as you can see, a code was generated here. Now, if you're comfortable working with JSON code, you can basically interact with this and change whatever you want. Okay, so for example, here you have the entity. Okay, this is our main entity, and then there you can see the attribute list. Okay, so the application number, the first name, last name, loan amount, a join operation here, as you can see, with another entity, right? If you're comfortable with this, go ahead. You know, FintechOS gives you this opportunity, and you can interact with this code that has been generated if you don't want to go back to the Fetch Designer, or you can write this from scratch. You can find details on how to write this code, on how to structure it on the FintechOS documentation, right? We have a special article about this. But for now, let's go ahead and generate our columns, okay? And for this, we have a button here called Generate View Columns, right? Click on yes, we confirm, and there we go. These are our columns. And now, as you can see, the order isn't exactly what we're looking for. We want to display the application number on the first column, so the column on the left. Okay, so we'll simply drag and drop it and place it on the first position, and just like that, on the second position we can place, I don't know, the start date, maybe the loan amount. Let's place the start date. Okay, there we go, and we'll basically place the other attributes in a certain order as well, just like this. Okay, so this will be our order. Then you also have a couple of columns here that allow you to apply some options on this particular view, and these will be seen if we click on this button here. First of all, you have a width field, which allows you to specify the width of a particular attribute. Okay, so a particular column of this view. Now we are dealing with the application number, and you can specify that in pixels or in percentage if you check this option. Then the cell template field allows you to write HTML and CSS in order to apply certain styles and certain rules for this particular column. And then you also have two options here to allow editing, which we will. And if you want to disable this particular column, you can click on this option. But for now, we'll leave it at that and save and close. And I will also allow editing for all of the columns. Now let's go ahead and display this view on a portal. Okay, so we'll save and reload. Don't forget to do this every time you set something up because it's very important. So to display this view, we'll go on the sidebar, close the Evolutive Data Core, we'll go to Digital Frontends. Go to Digital Experience Portals, and here you can choose different options. You can display it on a menu item, or you can display it on a dashboard, which is what we're going to do. And here I have created a new dashboard, the loan dashboard. You can create as many of these as you want. And here you've got to make sure that this is shown on the home page of the portal. And then we're going to add a widget. Now here you can display a view either as a shortcut or an entity view. If you display it as a shortcut, you're going to have to click on the shortcut itself. That will open up the view. If you display it as an entity view, it will be displayed as a view straight up on the dashboard. But we're going to start with the shortcut. Then the type of shortcut will be an entity and it will be a list. Okay, and here we can basically select the entity. Okay, and our entity is called account application and is this one. And remember when I told you about setting the view as the default view for that entity, this is where it comes in handy, because as you can see, we only have one view option, right? We basically added the shortcut and you don't have the option to select multiple views that you have defined on that entity. If you want to do that, you have to select the other option, entity view, which I'm going to show you in a bit. Here you can basically customize the shortcut. First of all, the title, let's change it to, let's say, account loan application records. Okay, let's shorten up a bit, and let's copy this and paste it on the description as well, and let's say manage loan application records. Okay, we can save it and then we can customize it further. Right, we can display an icon on the shortcut itself. Let's choose this one. We can choose the color and different options here. Let's choose half. Okay, these are styling options. So we can save the widget, and now let's switch to the portal. And there we go. This is our shortcut, and to access the view, you can simply click on it, and there we have our view. Okay, and look at it. I mean, it is exactly as we have defined it. It has the attributes that we have selected using the Fetch Designer. So here we basically have the application number, the start date, loan amount, first name, last name, city, and date of birth. And these are records that were added through our form-driven flow. And if we select one of these records, let's say this one right here, and as you can see, this is the flow. This is the first step, this is the second step, and the entire flow is filled in with the user information. Okay, we have multiple steps, and here we have the application number, the first name, last name. The view basically collects information from all of these different fields that are essentially attributes. And basically you can insert new records very easily by clicking on this button, and then again our flow will open up and we can basically insert a new record. However, it's very important to make this flow as the default flow for the entity and the default flow for edit on the same entity. Okay, there are basically these two options right here. And then other than that, you can export this view, or you can use the advanced find option if you have a lot of records for these attributes. And other than that, you can basically apply filtering on this, right? Let's say that we're looking for Creed, we can simply search for them, and there we have this record. Okay, you can do that for any of the attributes. This is the view column that we have specified that we want this on our view when we have defined it, and if we simply click on it, it will take us to the flow containing the record information, just as would happen if we click on it, right? But it's more user-friendly this way. Now, apart from using the Fetch Designer or the JSON code, if you want to build a simple view for one single entity, right? Let's say that we want to display a couple of attributes only from the main entity of our flow, right? No other entities. Here's how we do it. So we go back to Data Views, and we'll create a new view. Let's say simple view loan application. Paste this again here, right? Couple of spaces. There we go. Save and reload. And on the data field, we need to look for this field here called data. Okay. And what we're doing here is we're basically writing the attribute names. However, we need to make sure to write the exact name of our attributes. In order to get this right, let me go to the Data Model Explorer. We'll open it in a new tab. We'll open our entity, okay, and we'll open the data model, okay, and let's say that we want basically the application number, okay, so application no. We'll put a comma and a space, and then we'll look for, let's say, first name, last name, loan amount. So basically the naming convention here, just like in coding, you know, for example, in JavaScript, when you're declaring a new variable, the first word is basically with lowercase characters, okay? So first name, last name, loan amount, and let's say social security number, okay? As simple as that. And there we have it. After clicking on generate view columns, these are our columns, right? And as you can see, they are in order, right? In the order that we have entered them in here. So we'll save and reload this view, and let's go ahead and display it on the portal as well, only this time. So we'll go to the digital front end, dashboards, loan dashboard. This time we will display it as an entity view, because remember, this is not the default view for our entity. Okay, so entity view, we'll select the entity. Basically it is account application, okay, this one, and now we can select the view for this entity, which is the simple loan application view, okay? And basically we have it here, and remember that this is a shortcut. This will be a list, so it has to be big enough, okay? We have a couple of attributes, not a lot of them, but we need to make it big enough, okay? So we'll save the widget. We can place a different title, you know, simple, let's say simple loan app view, something like that. We'll save it and we'll switch to the portal. And here we are on our dashboard. This is our view. And as you can see, we have a scroll bar here because it isn't big enough, but you have 2 pages, right? You can basically display them on these 2 pages. And as you can see, the application number, first name, last name, loan amount, and social security number. And you have these adjustable columns here. You can play around with them. However, the main difference is that basically you cannot insert or remove any of the records, okay? You can access them, right? So if we click on Michael Scott, as you can see, this is our form-driven flow, and basically we have all of the information laid out in here. But if you only want to visualize the records, you know, especially for a simple view such as this one that isn't the default view for your entity, this is the way to go. And on the other hand, if you want to manage your records and display a more advanced view, you can use the Fetch Designer, and you can make it the default view, and you can use the shortcut in order to display it. And basically that's how the FintechOS Data Views capability works. I really hope you enjoyed this video and that you found it useful. Don't forget to check out the FintechOS Academy for more tutorials and more information about various capabilities and the FintechOS technology in general. Also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube for more videos coming up. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.